This podcast is part of the Listen Frederick Podcast Network. To learn more, visit listenfrederick.com.
The Fedora Files.
Welcome back to another thrilling episode of the Fedora Files. I am Gregory Fedora. Now, first off, I want to thank Siegfried Montgomery for stepping in last week to cover for me while I was away. I was not afraid of Chessie, but I had other things going on. I'm just appreciative to know that I have a friend like him to just step in and help out when need be. Today, we're keeping with the theme of aquatic monsters and heading to the dark and misty waters of Scotland's Highlands to talk about a legend that has captured imaginations for centuries. The Loch Ness Monster, or the Loch Ness Monster, however you want to pronounce it. Now, whether you call it Nessie or simply the monster, this enigmatic creature has been part of folklore and science debate alike, with sightings, hoaxes, and fascinating stories stretching back to ancient times. All right. So our tale begins with the Pikes. They were an ancient people who lived in Scotland. They carved images of a strange creature that had flippers into the stones near the shores of Loch Ness. Now, were they simply depicting animals they knew about, maybe seals or whatever, but these things didn't quite look like seals? Or was it something more mysterious that was lurking in the depths of the loch? Now, one of the most famous stories is, or the very first written documented stories, let's say, comes at 565 AD, and it was documented by a man named Saint Columba. Now, he was a Christian missionary that the people loved. Columba reportedly saved the life of one of his followers who fell into the river there by the loch, and the terrifying beast arose, and Columba commanded it to go away, and it retreated from the river and into the loch. The monster obeyed him, and that was the first written document, and Columba had no reason to write about this. There was he didn't get any fame for doing this really, except for the people in the area. And there were eyewitnesses to this event, both Christian and non-Christian, who witnessed this happen. But, was it divine intervention, or was it just storytelling, and was it just a giant eel? We don't know, but something occurred, and Columbus scared it away through the power of Christ. He compelled it to go away. Now, for centuries after, sightings were sporadic, with whispers of strange water creatures slipping into local Scottish folklore, blending with tales of other mythical water beasts, because there's a lot of lochs and a lot of monster stories in each of them. But then something changed. All right. In 1933, a new road was completed along the shores of Loch Ness. And with that, the legend of the Loch Ness Monster exploded. It was in April of that year when a couple driving along the road reported seeing something big. They described it as a dragon or a prehistoric monster. The thing crossed in front of their path and then disappeared into the water. The story made headlines in a Scottish newspaper, and soon after, Loch Ness became the epicenter of one of the world's greatest mysteries. Now, in fairness, this couple received no money or financial gain from saying this story or telling this story. They got in the paper, so a little bit of a notoriety or celebrity, but not much at all. To this day, people, unless you're really into it, don't even know the couple's name. And I'm not going to say their name because, I don't think they cared about getting the fame, and they're dead now. So what are they going to do? Now, a few months later, the Daily Mail sent big game hunter Marmaduke Witherall. Now, they sent him there to find the sea serpent, and he was a big deal back then. He found huge footprints along the shores, claiming they belonged to a powerful, soft-footed animal about 20 feet long. But, as with so many monster hunts, Not all was as it seemed. The prints were revealed to be a hoax. They were created by a hippopotamus leg umbrella stand. Now, back in that day, that was common. People in England, people were going to Africa, killing hippos and rhinos and elephants. We didn't have the game wardens like we do today, so they would turn their legs into umbrella stands. And someone took one and made footprints. So it was a common thing that people in that area had. The question is, was Marmaduke. Let's go there. That's easier for me to pronounce. Was he fooled or was he in on the joke? No one knows. He said he had no idea that it was a hoax at the time. And he was pretty much a predominant big game hunter. I don't think he was. I think somebody else hoaxed him. But anyway, the mystery deepened. Then in 1934, the world was captivated by what was to become perhaps the most famous image of Nessie. It's known as the surgeon's photograph, and it was taken by Dr. Robert Kenneth Wilson, and it appeared to show the head and neck of a creature rising from the dark waters of Loch Ness. The photo made waves, quite literally, and many believed to be proof of a living prehistoric creature, perhaps even a plesiosaur, an ancient marine reptile thought to have gone extinct millions of years ago. Everyone knows what a plesiosaur is. It's big body, long neck, and flipper legs, and it's pretty much everyone's favorite dinosaur to say that's the river or lake or bay monster. It's a plesiosaur. Who knows? Maybe it survived. Other ancient creatures have survived. Why not that? The ocean's pretty big, and you can get to the loch from the ocean through underground caves. Who knows? Maybe the loch is a place to lay eggs, a mating area. We don't know. The photograph sparked a global frenzy. Were we really dealing with a relic of the dinosaur age? Could Loch Ness hide such an enormous creature? Scientists and adventurers alike swarmed to the loch using sonar technology in 1987 and again in 2003 to try to locate Nessie, but despite their efforts, no clear evidence was ever found. But in between those errors, in 1994, it all came crashing down on the photo when the iconic surgeon photograph was revealed as yet another hoax. The creature was nothing more than a toy submarine with a plastic head. Why would you do that, Dr. Robert Kenneth Wilson? Why would you do that? Oh, well. Now, despite these setbacks, the legend did not die. If anything, Nessie became even more popular, contributing to millions of dollars to Scottish tourism. Year after year, eager monster hunters set up cameras, sonar devices, and even web streams to catch a glimpse of the elusive beast. In 2018, researchers conducted a DNA survey of Loch Ness to identify all the organisms living in its waters. However, no signs of a plesiosaur. But do we actually have DNA of a plesiosaur? I don't know, because I think if it's been extinct for millions of years, that the fossils don't have DNA in them. So I don't know how you'd be able to identify a plesiosaur DNA. But researchers or scientists who deny it say, well, we don't have any DNA to prove it. Well, yeah, you don't have any DNA to disprove it either, but okay. But there was DNA showing large eels living in the loch. Could Nessie be some sort of oversized eel? The answer remains unknown. In fact, Expedition X, who is produced by Josh Gates, who does Expedition Unknown and has done many other shows, actually sent a team to try and find the Loch Ness, and it was indeterminate. They had video evidence of things, they heard things, but they had nothing that could prove or disprove it. But even after that, even though we're at the point where we're like, I guess there's nothing there, something new has sprung up. And things have only gotten stranger, and this is recent, like within the past couple months, within this year. A seasoned Nessie watcher by the name of Ian O'Fatahagan, and I'm pronouncing his name wrong, but it's a lot of vowels and consonants, was monitoring the loch via webcam when something caught his eye. Not one, but two massive shapes moved beneath the surface, side by side, leaving an enormous wake behind them. Ian couldn't believe what he was seeing. He had spent years watching Loch Ness and had never witnessed anything like this. Two creatures. Could there be two Loch Ness monsters, a male and a female? Obviously, you're going to need a male and female, because how could this thing be alive in 565 AD and even before that and still be alive today? Obviously, it's more than one, and they have to have babies. If you've seen the movie Water Horse, they lay eggs. It's a great movie. I haven't seen Water Horse. Check it out. It's really, really interesting, really fun. Obviously, it's fictitious in nature, but it's a great show, and I love that movie. Now, Ian described the scene vividly, saying there are two defined wakes, too large to be seals or otters. The disturbances they caused was incredible. Ian dismissed the possibility of boats or human activity, pointing out that the wake seemed to fizzle out into nothing, as if the thing dove underwater. And it left us to wonder, are there two Nessies lurking beneath the surface? My theory is perhaps they leave the loch and go into the ocean. They come back to the loch to mate and have babies. And I need to do more research to see when the loch activity is at its height. When, like, is it all year round, or is there a certain time of year when this is happening? Perhaps that's when they're mating. Now, over the centuries, Nessie has become a symbol of both skepticism and wonder. Hoaxes, sightings, blurry photos, and sonar hits keep the mystery alive. Maybe it's a giant eel, or maybe there's something ancient slumbering in the cold, dark depths of Loch Ness. Whatever the truth, maybe one thing's for sure. Nessie isn't just a monster. Nessie is a legend that will never die. Now, I just want to thank you for joining me as I dove deep into the mystery of Loch Ness here on the Fedora Files. Now, if you enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe and leave us a review. And who knows what other mysteries lie beneath the waters of the world. Perhaps I'll seek out some other aquatic monsters or something entirely different. Next week, I plan to have a guest, but I'm not going to say who quite yet. Now, until next time, remember to stay safe and keep searching.
The Fedora Files.
Check out FedoraCRT.com today.